Have you ever wondered if the events in the Bible are more than just stories? Could there be actual historical and archaeological evidence that proves these ancient accounts? Imagine standing in the very places where biblical figures once walked, uncovering artifacts that validate centuries-old scriptures. Through ancient ruins, lost inscriptions, and hidden relics, history and faith intertwine. The past speaks to us in ways we never imagined. In this video, we embark on an incredible journey to uncover real-world discoveries that confirm the existence of biblical figures and events. Through archaeology, science, and historical records, we will explore groundbreaking findings that bridge the gap between faith and history. But before we get started, if you love and are curious to explore historical stories that have been around for thousands of years, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell to dig deeper into other stories and strengthen your faith from our channel. For centuries, the Bible has been regarded not only as a sacred religious text, but also as a historical document that records the lives of people, nations, and extraordinary events. While skeptics have often dismissed many of its stories as myths or exaggerated narratives, modern archaeology has uncovered remarkable evidence that aligns with biblical accounts. These discoveries serve as tangible proof that many of the places, figures, and events mentioned in the scriptures were not mere fables, but parts of real history. From ancient cities buried under centuries of earth to inscriptions carved in stone, archaeology has provided insights into the past, confirming that the Bible is not just a book of faith, but also a record of history. Below, we explore some of the most striking archaeological findings that validate the authenticity of the Bible. 1. The Dead Sea Scrolls. One of the most significant archaeological discoveries in biblical studies is the Dead Sea Scrolls, found between 1947 and 1956 in the Qumran caves near the Dead Sea. These ancient manuscripts date back to the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE, making them over 2,000 years old. The scrolls contain portions of almost every book of the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, with the exception of the Book of Esther, along with numerous other religious texts. Before the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the oldest known manuscripts of the Hebrew Bible were from the 10th century CE, nearly 1,000 years later than these newly discovered scrolls. When scholars compared the text of the Dead Sea Scrolls with later biblical manuscripts, they found an astonishing level of consistency. This provided irrefutable proof that the biblical texts had been transmitted with remarkable accuracy over millennia, disproving claims that they had been significantly altered or corrupted over time. Moreover, the scrolls also contain insights into the Jewish community known as the Essenes, who lived in Qumran and meticulously copied these texts. Their dedication to preserving these scriptures reflects the importance of the biblical writings in ancient times and highlights their deep historical roots. Some of the fragments discovered include prophetic writings from Isaiah, which closely match the versions found in modern Bibles, reinforcing the idea that the theological and doctrinal core of the Hebrew scriptures has remained unchanged for thousands of years. In addition to their textual significance, the Dead Sea Scrolls offer a glimpse into the lifestyle, religious practices, and messianic expectations of Jewish sects that lived during the Second Temple period. The scrolls discuss apocalyptic visions, ethical teachings, and interpretations of Mosaic law, indicating a deeply religious and scholarly community. The meticulous nature of these writings highlights the dedication of ancient scribes to preserving what they considered divine revelation, further validating the integrity of the biblical transmission process. 2. The Walls of Jericho. The ancient city of Jericho is one of the most well-documented archaeological sites in the Middle East. According to the Bible, in the book of Joshua, Joshua 6:1-27, the Israelites, under Joshua's leadership, besieged the fortified city of Jericho, and its massive walls miraculously collapsed after they marched around them for 7 days and blew their trumpets. Archaeological excavations conducted by John Garstang, 1930s, and later by Kathleen Kenyon, 1950s, uncovered startling evidence supporting this biblical event. The findings revealed that Jericho's walls had indeed fallen outward, a highly unusual collapse pattern for a city under attack, where walls typically fall inward due to battering rams. This outward collapse aligns with the biblical description that the walls fell miraculously, allowing the Israelites to storm in. Additionally, Kenyon discovered a layer of ash, burned grain, and collapsed mud brick structures, indicating that the city was destroyed by fire. The Bible describes that after the fall of Jericho, the Israelites set the city ablaze, an account that matches these archaeological findings. Further evidence suggests that the city was abandoned for some time after its destruction, aligning with the biblical account that Joshua placed a curse on anyone who would attempt to rebuild it. Joshua 6:26. Scholars have also noted the presence of large amounts of stored grain in the ruins, which suggests that Jericho fell rapidly rather than being subjected to a prolonged siege. Such findings reinforce the notion that the destruction of Jericho occurred under unique circumstances consistent with the biblical narrative. 3. The lost city of Nineveh. Nineveh, the once great capital of the Assyrian Empire, was described in the Book of Jonah and Book of Nahum as a mighty city that ultimately faced divine judgment and destruction. For centuries, Nineveh was believed to be a mythical place because its ruins had been buried under layers of earth. In the 19th century, British archaeologist Sir Austen Henry Layard led excavations near Mosul, Iraq, and uncovered the ruins of Nineveh, proving its existence. Among the greatest findings at Nineveh were the royal palaces of King Sennacherib, who is mentioned multiple times in the Bible, 2 Kings 19:36-37, Isaiah 37:37-38. These palaces contained intricately carved reliefs and cuneiform inscriptions detailing Assyrian military campaigns, many of which directly correlate with biblical accounts. Another major discovery was the Library of Ashurbanipal, an extensive archive of over 30,000 clay tablets, which provided insight into the literature, history, and religious beliefs of the Assyrians. These tablets also mention the Great Flood, a story strikingly similar to the biblical account of Noah's Ark, reinforcing the widespread nature of this event in ancient cultures. Nineveh's eventual downfall was also recorded in historical inscriptions. The city was utterly destroyed in 612 BCE by the Babylonians, Medes, and Scythians, just as the prophets Nahum and Zephaniah had foretold. The ruins of Nineveh, once covered by sand and forgotten by history, now stand as a powerful testament to the accuracy of biblical prophecy and historical record. 4. Hezekiah's Tunnel. The Bible records that during King Hezekiah's reign, 8th century BCE, he constructed a tunnel to secure Jerusalem's water supply in preparation for an impending siege by the Assyrian king, Sennacherib. 2 Kings 20:20, 2 Chronicles 32:30. This underground tunnel, known as Hezekiah's Tunnel, was designed to divert water from the Gihon Spring to the Pool of Siloam inside the city walls. In 1838, biblical scholar Edward Robinson identified this tunnel, and in 1880, the Siloam inscription was discovered inside the passageway. The inscription describes how two teams of diggers started from opposite ends and met in the middle, a remarkable feat of ancient engineering. Scientific dating techniques have confirmed that the tunnel was indeed constructed during Hezekiah's reign, validating the biblical account. Archaeologists have also found fortifications and city walls that align with Hezekiah's defensive preparations, supporting the biblical description of how the king reinforced Jerusalem against the Assyrian invasion. These discoveries further solidify the credibility of the biblical narrative regarding Hezekiah's rule and military strategies. 5. The Hittites. For centuries, the Hittites were considered nothing more than a biblical legend, as there was no historical evidence outside of the Bible that supported their existence. The Bible frequently mentions the Hittites as one of the prominent civilizations that interacted with the Israelites, appearing in texts such as Genesis 15:20, Exodus 3:8, and Joshua 1-4. Yet for a long time, many scholars dismissed these accounts as mythical, claiming that no other historical records validated the Hittites' presence in the ancient world. This skepticism changed in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, when archaeologists began uncovering vast amounts of evidence proving that the Hittites were indeed a major ancient civilization. One of the most remarkable discoveries occurred at Hattusa, the ancient Hittite capital, located in modern-day Turkey. Excavations at this site revealed massive stone walls, royal palaces, temples, and thousands of cuneiform tablets, all confirming that the Hittites were not only real, but also a dominant force in the ancient Near East. Among the most significant discoveries was the Treaty of Kadesh, circa 1259 BCE, a peace treaty between the Hittites and the Egyptians, which is considered one of the oldest known international agreements. This treaty, made between the Hittite king Hattusili III and Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II, showcases the Hittites as a formidable and organized empire that had diplomatic and military relations with one of the most powerful kingdoms of the time. This aligns with biblical descriptions of their interactions with the Israelites and other ancient civilizations. Further analysis of Hittite inscriptions and artifacts revealed that their empire stretched across modern-day Turkey, Syria, and parts of Mesopotamia, making them one of the dominant political entities of their era. The rediscovery of the Hittites not only validated biblical references, but also demonstrated how archaeology continues to confirm historical accounts once considered mere fiction. The case of the Hittites serves as a powerful reminder that the Bible contains historical records that predate many modern discoveries. What was once dismissed as legend was ultimately revealed to be an essential part of human history, reinforcing the Bible's credibility as a source of ancient knowledge. 6. The Great Flood and Noah's Ark. The story of the Great Flood, in which Noah built an ark to save humanity and animals from destruction, is one of the most well-known biblical narratives, Genesis 6-9. While many skeptics have dismissed it as mere mythology, geological and historical studies suggest that massive flooding events did occur in ancient times, which may have inspired the biblical account. Archaeologists and geologists have identified strong evidence of catastrophic floods in the Mesopotamian region, where many ancient biblical events took place. The Black Sea Deluge hypothesis suggests that around 5,600 BCE, melting glaciers caused the Mediterranean Sea to flood into the Black Sea, drastically expanding its size and submerging coastal settlements. This event could have been passed down through generations, forming the basis for flood myths across various cultures, including the Noahic account in the Bible. Additionally, ancient Sumerian and Akkadian texts, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, contain flood narratives strikingly similar to Noah's story. The presence of such parallel accounts across multiple civilizations indicates that a significant flood event may have left a lasting impact on ancient societies. Some researchers have even conducted expeditions to locate remnants of Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat in Turkey, where biblical tradition suggests it came to rest. While no definitive proof has been found, satellite images and expeditions continue to investigate possible structures buried in the ice and rocks of the mountain. Furthermore, sediment core studies from Mesopotamian riverbeds reveal evidence of sudden, large-scale flooding in the region, supporting the idea that historical floods occurred, potentially giving rise to the Genesis flood narrative. Ancient maps and records also point to submerged cities and settlements that were once thriving communities before being consumed by rising waters, lending credibility to the idea of a great deluge. 7. The 10 Plagues of Egypt. The book of Exodus describes 10 devastating plagues that struck Egypt before the Israelites' liberation. While the events are often viewed as divine intervention, some scientists have proposed natural explanations for these occurrences, suggesting that they may have been linked to ecological and geological phenomena. One prevailing theory links the plagues to the eruption of Thera, Santorini, a massive volcanic explosion around 1600 BCE. The eruption could have triggered widespread environmental disruptions, explaining many of the plagues. For example, the Nile turning to blood, first plague, red-colored toxic algae blooms, or high concentrations of iron from volcanic ash could have turned the waters red, making them undrinkable. Frogs, lice, and flies, second to fourth plagues. Disrupted ecosystems could have led to an explosion of insect populations, causing widespread infestations. Livestock disease and boils, fifth and sixth plagues. The presence of volcanic ash in the air may have introduced toxins that sickened animals and humans. Darkness, ninth plague. The eruption would have caused a massive ash cloud, blocking out the sun for days. Further studies have suggested that climatic shifts, including severe droughts and shifts in the Nile's seasonal flooding patterns, may have contributed to these disasters. Pollen and sediment records indicate environmental instability in Egypt around the same period, reinforcing the idea that natural factors played a role in the plagues. 8. The parting of the Red Sea. One of the most dramatic miracles in the Bible is the parting of the Red Sea, allowing Moses and the Israelites to escape Pharaoh's army. Exodus 14:21-31. While traditionally seen as an act of divine intervention, modern scientific studies suggest that natural forces could have played a role in this event. Researchers have conducted computer simulations that show how strong, sustained east winds blowing at around 63 miles per hour, 100 kilometers per hour, could have pushed water back, creating a temporary land passage. This phenomenon, known as wind set-down, has been observed in other parts of the world, such as Lake Erie and the Nile Delta, where similar wind-driven water movements have exposed dry land for short periods. Additionally, some scholars argue that the Red Sea might have referred to the Reed Sea, Yam Suf, a marshy area where such a phenomenon would be even more plausible. If the event took place in a shallow body of water, a strong wind could have momentarily exposed the seabed, allowing the Israelites to cross before the waters rushed back, trapping the Egyptian army. To further support this theory, ancient Egyptian records describe sudden, powerful storms and floods that devastated regions near the Nile Delta, suggesting that meteorological conditions similar to those described in Exodus could have occurred. 9. The sun standing still in Joshua's battle. The book of Joshua, Joshua 10:12-14, recounts an extraordinary event in which the sun stood still, prolonging daylight so that Joshua's army could defeat their enemies. While the event is described as a miracle, some scientists and historians suggest it may have been caused by an astronomical phenomenon, such as an eclipse or refraction of light. Recent research by Cambridge University scholars suggests that this event could be linked to an annular solar eclipse that occurred around 1207 BCE. During an annular eclipse, the moon passes directly in front of the sun, but instead of completely covering it, it leaves a bright ring visible. This could create the illusion of an extended or dim daylight. Additionally, astronomical records from ancient Egyptian and Chinese sources describe unusual celestial events around the same period. Some scholars suggest that the phenomenon could have been an optical illusion caused by atmospheric conditions, such as light refraction due to dust storms. 10. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah's fiery destruction due to divine judgment, Genesis 19:24-25, has fascinated historians and scientists for centuries. While the Bible describes the cities being destroyed by fire and brimstone, some researchers believe the event may have been caused by a cosmic impact, such as an asteroid or meteorite explosion. A recent study led by archaeologists investigating Tal al-Hammam, an ancient site in Jordan that fits the biblical description of Sodom, uncovered strong evidence of a cataclysmic event. The site reveals layers of superheated debris, melted pottery, and high levels of sulfur, suggesting an airburst explosion similar to the Tunguska event in 1908, when a meteoroid exploded over Siberia, flattening 800 square miles of forest. This theory is further supported by high concentrations of shocked quartz, a mineral that forms under extreme pressure, and the presence of a large circular burn pattern consistent with an aerial explosion. 11. The Tower of Babel. The Bible describes the Tower of Babel as an ambitious structure built by humanity to reach the heavens. Genesis 11:1-9. As a divine response, God confused their languages and scattered the people across the earth. While some see this as symbolic, archaeological, and linguistic evidence suggests it may reflect a real historical event. One compelling theory suggests that the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, massive temple towers built by the Babylonians and Sumerians, may have inspired the story of Babel. These structures were among the tallest of their time, and inscriptions reveal that their builders sought to create a direct connection between heaven and earth. Further studies indicate that around 2200 BCE, sudden climatic shifts, including widespread droughts and resource scarcity, led to mass migrations and the fragmentation of previously unified cultures, potentially explaining the diversification of languages. 12. King David. King David is one of the most revered figures in biblical history, depicted as a shepherd-turned-monarch who united the tribes of Israel. However, for a long time, skeptics argued that David was a mythical or exaggerated figure, as there was no extra-biblical evidence of his existence. This changed in 1993 when archaeologists discovered the Teldan stele, an ancient basalt stone inscription that refers to the House of David. The inscription, written in Aramaic, dates back to the 9th century BCE and provides historical proof that David was a real king whose dynasty was recognized by neighboring nations. Further excavations in Jerusalem at the City of David site have uncovered massive stone structures and fortifications, which some scholars believe may be remnants of King David's palace. These discoveries have significantly strengthened the argument that David was not just a legendary figure, but a historical ruler who left a lasting impact on the region. Additionally, clay seals, bulli, discovered in excavations near the site, contain the names of officials mentioned in the biblical accounts of David's reign, reinforcing the narrative that his rule had both administrative and geopolitical significance. Other inscriptions, such as the Mesha Stele, 9th century BCE, reference conflicts between the Israelites and their neighboring kingdoms, indirectly supporting the historical existence of David's dynasty. 13. King Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonian Empire. King Nebuchadnezzar II is well known from the Book of Daniel, where he is described as the powerful ruler who destroyed Jerusalem in 586 BCE and took the Israelites into captivity. Unlike King David, Nebuchadnezzar's existence has never been in doubt, thanks to extensive Babylonian records. Among the most important findings confirming Nebuchadnezzar's reign are clay cuneiform tablets, known as the Babylonian Chronicles, which detail his military campaigns, including the siege of Jerusalem. The Nebuchadnezzar inscription, found in Iraq, further confirms his ambitious building projects, including the reconstruction of Babylon and the famous Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. These artifacts confirm the historical accuracy of the biblical narrative surrounding the Babylonian exile. Excavations in Babylon have also revealed temples, fortifications, and administrative buildings that align with descriptions of Nebuchadnezzar's reign in the Bible. His Ishtar Gate, a grand entrance to Babylon adorned with images of dragons and bulls, is now housed in a Berlin museum and serves as an example of his monumental architecture. Another significant inscription, the Cyrus Cylinder, details how the Persian king Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon and allowed the exiled Israelites to return to their homeland, further verifying the historical accuracy of the biblical exile and subsequent restoration of the Jewish people. 14. Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who presided over the trial of Jesus, is mentioned in all 4 Gospels. However, for centuries, there was little historical evidence outside of Christian texts confirming his role in Judea. That changed in 1961 when archaeologists discovered the Pilate stone in Caesarea Maritima, an inscription bearing Pilate's name and title, Pontius Pilatus, Prefect of Judea. This discovery provided direct archaeological confirmation that Pilate was a real historical figure who governed Judea during the early 1st century CE. Additionally, Tacitus, the Roman historian, wrote in Annals circa 116 CE that Jesus was executed during the reign of Emperor Tiberius under the orders of Pontius Pilate, further supporting the Gospel accounts. Pilate is also mentioned in Josephus's Antiquities of the Jews, where his administration and handling of Jewish revolts are documented, offering a broader historical context to his role in the execution of Jesus. Roman coins bearing Pilate's name have also been discovered, further confirming his tenure as governor. 15. The Holy Chalice. The Holy Chalice, also referred to as the Holy Grail, is believed by some to be the cup that Jesus used during the Last Supper. While the Grail has been the subject of many legends, there are several historical artifacts that have been linked to this sacred vessel. One of the most famous contenders is the Valencia chalice, housed in Spain. Made of Middle Eastern agate, this cup dates back to 100 BCE, 100 CE, making it plausible that it could have existed during Jesus' time. Historical records show that it was venerated as early as the 4th century, adding to its credibility as an object of Christian devotion. Another relic, the Antioch chalice, has been proposed as an alternative candidate. Discovered in Syria, this cup features elaborate Christian iconography, leading some scholars to believe it was used in early Christian communities. Though its authenticity remains debated, The existence of ancient chalices matching biblical descriptions suggests that such objects were used in Jewish and early Christian rituals, reinforcing the historical setting of the Last Supper. 16. The prohibition inscription. In 1871, a remarkable 1st century CE inscription known as the Nazareth inscription was discovered. This marble tablet, written in Greek, contains a Roman decree that strongly warns against the removal of bodies from tombs. It prescribes severe penalties, including capital punishment, for those who disturb grave sites. The inscription, which explicitly refers to the unlawful removal of corpses, is highly unusual for Roman law, which generally focused on the desecration of graves rather than theft of bodies. Many scholars believe that this edict was issued in response to Christian claims of Jesus' resurrection, as the decree aligns with the time period following Jesus' crucifixion. The fact that Roman authorities saw fit to issue such an order suggests they were aware of the controversy surrounding the empty tomb, reinforcing the biblical narrative that Jesus' body was no longer in the tomb where he had been laid. The geographical origin of the inscription also adds to its significance. The marble slab, while found in Nazareth, was likely issued from an imperial decree, possibly by Emperor Claudius, 41 to 54 CE, who was known for addressing political and religious unrest in Judea. If this inscription was indeed a reaction to the early Christian movement, it provides a tangible historical link between the resurrection story and the Roman government's attempt to suppress it. Additionally, Jewish and Roman records indicate that the empty tomb of Jesus was a point of contention. The Gospel of Matthew, Matthew 28:11-15, mentions that the Jewish authorities bribed the guards to spread the rumor that Jesus' disciples had stolen his body. The Nazareth inscription could be seen as an official Roman response to the growing belief in the resurrection, aiming to deter any similar events in the future. 17. The Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin is one of the most debated religious relics, believed by many to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. The linen cloth bears a faint yet striking negative image of a man who appears to have been crucified, with wounds that correspond to the biblical description of Jesus' suffering. The presence of bloodstains matching the pattern of Roman flagellation and crucifixion wounds has led many to believe that this could be the actual burial cloth mentioned in the Gospels. While carbon dating tests in 1988 suggested that the shroud dated to the Middle Ages, 1260 to 1390 CE, these results have been heavily contested due to potential contamination and the use of fibers from a repaired section of the cloth. More recent studies, including pollen analysis, have identified traces of plant species found only in the Near East, particularly around Jerusalem, supporting the idea that the shroud may have originated in the 1st century CE. Forensic analysis of the bloodstains has also revealed that they are real human blood, type AB, and show characteristics consistent with clot transfer, meaning that the image was not painted or artificially created. Additionally, the Sudarium of Oviedo, a separate relic believed to be the cloth that covered Jesus' face, contains matching blood patterns with the Shroud of Turin, further suggesting authenticity. Moreover, advanced imaging techniques such as ultraviolet light analysis and 3D mapping have shown that the shroud contains unique depth properties, meaning the image was not painted or pressed onto the fabric in any known artistic method. Theories regarding how the image was formed include bursts of radiation or intense light, aligning with descriptions of Jesus' resurrection in Christian tradition. Though skeptics argue that the shroud could have been a medieval forgery, no known artistic technique from that era could reproduce the image with such complexity. As technology advances, new scientific studies continue to explore the shroud's origins, keeping the debate open as to whether it is indeed the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. As we have explored, the past speaks to us through ancient writings, preserved artifacts, and archaeological discoveries that confirm the historical authenticity of biblical events. These findings offer a tangible connection to the figures and moments recorded in Scripture. They challenge us to view the Bible not only as a book of faith, but as a document deeply rooted in history. While some mysteries remain unsolved and debates continue, one undeniable truth stands out. The impact of these discoveries transcends time. Whether you approach these findings with faith or curiosity, they offer a profound insight into our collective past and the enduring legacy of biblical history. Now we want to hear from you. Which discovery amazed you the most? Do you think these findings reinforce the historical accuracy of the Bible? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We value your perspectives and look forward to engaging in meaningful discussions with you. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing valuable content about history, archaeology, and faith. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching the video and God bless you.